Well, before we move ahead, you really want to look at the example demo that we set up with the sliding menus that we're going to create. But before you really get into it and try it out with the sample files that are all downloadable under each video, you really want to look at the CSS3 Animation basics. And when you look at this stuff, don't get blown away. Just kick back. If you're new to CSS3 Animation, this stuff, it'll blow you away, but just chill with it. Just chill with the concepts. Enjoy. So the way it works is you can make something happen automatically. So the page loads and this animation just starts. On the other hand, you can have it so that something has to happen for the animation to actually start working. Now, so first of all, you have to set up a place for it to happen. That's important. A place where it's going to happen. Usually this is in a div. And then you want to make it so that you click something and it happens, which we're going to do, or you hover over something and it happens. And we're going to do both of those. So, and the thing is, it'll show up on all these lovely devices, but let's get started and see what we can do here. Now I set up a basic animation. I'll go over here into live mode, and there you go. I just want to make this image rotate. Now I'm not going to have in what we're going to do, we're not going to have any auto stuff going on, but I did want to present the concept, and you'll see where all of the concepts really stem from as we move ahead. So this is just a circle. It's rotating 360 degrees. That's one little piece of information that will demystify the mystery as we look at the code. Now, if we look, I put the CSS in the HTML document here, and I start out giving the animation a place to happen, and that's the div you saw. That little image is in a div, but now we get into the weird stuff. These things are called keyframes. Down here we see keyframes, and they start out like a media query, and up here you can see the media query is not a media query, it's just another CSS thingy, but we open it up here, we close it down here, and then within it we have stuff going on. In our situation, but before we go on to our situation, notice up here it says WebKit keyframes. Down here it just says keyframes. Well, this CSS3 animation is so new. It's been out there for years, but now it's available for almost every browser to work in. But to get it to work, you've got to use a whole bunch of different code to talk to all these different browsers, because it's not quite uniform as far as what browsers understand what. So you have WebKit keyframes like Safari, Chrome, and Opera, and so here we go. This is the name of the animation. We give the animation a name. Notice that the name of the animation, this animation now is called rotating. It could be called Jim Bob or Freddy. We could make it work like that too. Down here, notice it has the same name because this is all for the same browsers. We want all of the browsers to play Freddy, Jim, Bob. In our case, so it makes sense, we've given this animation the name rotating. Now, here we go. Just imagine this code isn't here for a second. Just imagine this code is not here for a second, because the code we're really interested in is this code right here. Transform. Transform, rotate is not like Jim, Bob, or Freddy. It's a real CSS term, and it means rotate. And transform, hopefully 50 years from now, all of the browsers will get it all together, and we can just use transform. Transform what? The property rotate, which is an actual CSS term, and here is the property or the attribute, how we want to rotate it. And so here we go. Basically, we're going to start at 0 degrees, which is where it is, from and to. That's our animation. We're going to rotate it from 0 degrees to 360 degrees. Transform, the thingy that has a name that we made up called rotating, and we're going to transform that from and to. What are we going to transform? We're going to transform the rotation property from 300 to 360 degrees, and we're going to do the same thing down here, from and to. Well, Bill the Geek, what's this other code in here that you said to ignore? This stuff up here and this stuff up here. Well, this is all talking to the various browsers around the world because they all understand different code. So to make sure that it works in Microsoft, we have ms-transform. This is for Mozilla Firefox. WebKit up there's for Safari and Chrome, and O is for Opera. So in a perfect world, you need to put all of these little goodies in there with this one to make this thing work officially. Now, throughout these samples, I'm only using the transform thingy because it works in Chrome well in the browser that I'm using. But you want to be sure to add all these things. It's not difficult. All you're adding is the colon and this over here. Oh, you're just going to add this whole transform thing and make sure you get the dash in there and the little O, the WebKit, the Moz, MS, and you'll be A-OK number 1. So if we're auto-rotating, we have to have these instructions accessible in the CSS document so that the browser knows what to do. These are true instructions for an auto-rotating situation. So we give the instructions, but as you look at this, we're in the CSS embedded style sheet portion of the page. Now, once we give the instructions, once we create the voodoo to put this in the mind of the browser, well, then we have to call upon it. And again, notice we made up this name, rotating. Well, now, down here in this CSS, we're going to pull our voodoo together and we're going to use the name rotating. Rotating. There it is. And we use the name of that, I'm going to call it an action function, and we say, hey, and again, rotating could be Bob. So we could have called this thing Bob. It's a class, and we say, Bob, do your thing. Do this stuff up here. Bob, if you're in Mozilla, do this. We could have called this Bob, while rotate here is an actual real CSS term for rotation with a numeric value and the number of degrees. Those are actual official rocket scientist terms that cannot fluctuate like Bob does. But down here, we use the word that we made up, and we say rotating, run for 2 seconds. Of all the code you're going to see, this 2 seconds, 2s, is the thing you want to pay attention to, because if you change that, you change the speed of the rotation. 2s, linear, infinite, let it run forever. 2 seconds, linear, let it run forever. All of this, once they get all of that together, then we could initiate this thing right here. Now, we're still in the CSS. We haven't gotten to the HTML yet, so let's take a peek down into the HTML where it all happens. Looky here. here's our wonderful body tag, and all we do is we call up on our class called rotating, which is right up here, and in that div I just stuck an image in there. That's it. I stick an image in there. I could have put some text in there. I could have put anything in there. But the thing is, whatever I put into this class called rotating, it's going to go around 360 degrees every second. Now, things are going to change here a little bit because as we move along in this project, we're not going to need these keyframes to tell the almighty browsers what to do, so we won't be seeing this anymore. You'll see why soon. But one thing we will need to pay attention to are these are called animation CSS animation browser prefixes. They're very important that you use them so that you have good uniformity and performance in browsers. You will see some of this going on. You will definitely, this line of code right here, to make this thing happen, where we'll be using the name of the rotation, how long it's going to last, and a couple of other properties here are very important in what we're about to do in making this little circle go round and round and round.